Your game
Your game.
Your game.
Your game.
is about to get a wake-up call.
Hello and welcome to the Red Rooster Golf Podcast. Alongside company founder Kerry Moher, I am Brad Fritsch, former PGA Tour player, current Korn Ferry Tour member, and Red Rooster founding partner. In this episode, we're going to talk a little bit about our subscription service, how we came up with the idea, how it was received by current and future customers, and, what might be in store for the subscription in the future. Red Rooster Golf. Join us in waking up your golf glove game, an oft-neglected part of your equipment and yet ever present on each and every shot you hit. Learn to manage your glove, make sure it's there to help you, and change it when it's not through our amazing subscription service. Red Rooster Golf. Wake up, shake up, step up, and give. Kerry, it's nice to see you and talk to you again. How's it going up your way?
Great, man. Having another long, cold winter here in Ottawa, and that just gets me more and more excited. Fortunately, I've been playing some indoor golf, checking out some local trackmans, and my club is all set up. So that's a really fun way to kind of stay sharp. But I'm definitely itching to play, and hopefully we can get together maybe here early spring and play a little bit. I know you're begrudgingly playing maybe more than you'd like to lately.
I'm back at it, baby. I'm back at it. Yep. Took a little hiatus, and now I'm back playing some golf and playing just fine. I don't have as many expectations as I once did. And, I was in Mexico for a week playing an exhibition, and every round was under par, and one round I made 8 birdies, and I was thinking, man, this stuff is easy. And then I came back and played my home club, which is considerably more difficult, and it was a little bit more of a battle. But you know how it goes, good days and bad. So yeah, this episode we're going to talk about the Red Rooster subscription. And the first thing I think we should talk about is you don't have to subscribe. We have a subscription where you save 10% on each glove that you purchase through the subscription. But then we also have one-time purchases. And that's something that we get a lot of live chats about. We get emails about like, hey, I don't want to subscribe just yet. I haven't tried your gloves. And, our response every time is, yeah, you don't have to subscribe, man. Just one-time purchase, go for it. It's an option. I wanted to pick your brain about how you kind of came up with the idea. Not that it's a new idea, but how you kind of thought about it from a glove perspective, and I know there's one company that was kind of your inspiration for the idea. So why don't you share that?
Sure. Dollar Shave Club. I'd been a Dollar Shave Club, customer for years. It was just easy. And I thought it was a really similar kind of problem. It was, you don't know when a razor is done. It's not obvious. And I think it's the same thing with golf gloves. Aside from a hole in it or a tear or something, it's hard to move on. I still find it hard. And to know, like, when should I, open a fresh one? And if that meant, going into a pro shop, etc., to make it happen, maybe it was, less likely to happen. You tend to probably get more rounds out of a glove than you should. And so I had that experience with razors where, I was on this subscription with Dollar Shave Club. My razors were showing up, on the frequency that I needed them. And when they did, it was a good reminder that, yeah, that's right. It's time to, change my blade. And so I thought, our early discussions when we started doing research, we weren't really looking to solve the subscription problem right away. It was more, we put out this early golf glove habit survey, and that was 2 years ago. It was 2 years ago, right right around now. I think it was in February, January, and we heard from roughly 3,000 people. And I remember I think the first question was, how often do you honestly change your glove? And it's just a great question. Um, and I like how it was framed. And out of the 3,000 responses, there was 133 said once a week. Um, Over 1,000 said once a month. 1,200 said once a quarter. 566 of them said once a year. So it was very
Once a
few
year.
once a year.
Oh my
So
God.
that's 20%.
There's clubs flying all over the place off tee boxes.
And once a quarter. And obviously, this is relative to how much golf you play, and
Of
there's a
course.
lot of things that affect that. But it was the follow up question to it, and this is where I think we had like a bit of that aha was how often should you change your golf glove if you were given golf gloves like a tour pro? And that answer went the majority, more than 50% of people said they would change their glove once a week.
Hmm.
And all of a sudden it was like, and then um, another third of them said once a month. So it was like 80% of people said, if I could get gloves given to me like a tour pro, I'd change them all the time. And then the follow up question is like, you can't afford gloves once a month or once every 2 months or however often you need it. And
Right.
and the reality is like, yeah, of course I could. But the problem is you didn't really have like the mechanism. Everybody recognizes it. They're like, yeah, I wear a glove way too long. And it's a matter of like, how do we solve this in a way that we can sort of get over this, maybe unhealthy relationship with like, going to the pro shop at the last minute or whatever it is that kind of holds us back.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
that's where we,
a lot of times, probably sizing, right? Like any left-handed player will tell you that it's more difficult to get gloves than a right-handed player, and then there's sizing in the right-hand uh, golfer area where it's like cadet small, cadet medium large. Those aren't easy to find. We've done our research, and a lot of companies don't offer them. And when they do, it's not exactly available at your Dick's Sporting Goods or wherever you buy your gloves. A pro shop, pro shop needs to be restocked sometimes. So it was definitely something when you brought it to my attention and you start saying, "Hey, there's 26 sizes if we just go to XL in men's, and there's women's small, medium, large. There's 26 sizes that we can offer." That's a lot of sizes that people won't be able to find at their, beck and call when they absolutely need it. So subscription makes sense. Doesn't make sense for everyone, but as we've seen, it makes sense to a whole heck of a lot of people who've been introduced to Red Rooster so far.
yeah, yeah, I got excited about the idea. I think just given my relationship with Dollar Shave Club in the past, then the survey results, right? It showed like, hey, consumers are saying like they recognize this need too. I think if we said, how about a subscription service to kind of solve this problem? I think there'd be fewer people to kind of raise their hand for that. And that's one of the things I think we want to talk through today is, I'd say subscription services. I'm going to say they're a swear word these days. It just feels like they're taking a bit of a hit, and probably, you know, for good reason. There's a bunch of things that are on subscription services that need not be. But I think the nice thing that we've seen with our service is that like there's literally it's meant to be an aid. So first of all, it's you'll get the cheapest gloves you can get at any time. If you're on our subscription service, you always save 10% off the lowest price. So even if there's a sale price, you get 10% below that. So it's our best price, period. It's totally flexible. You can cancel it anytime, no obligation. You can pause it and you can adjust it to any number of gloves on any frequency. Need them every month, need them. We have guys getting them every 2 weeks, some getting them every 6 months, some getting multiple gloves a month,
Oh yeah.
monthly,
Sh-
quarterly, and
shout out
even
to
in,
my shout out to my boy Alex in, I think it's Chicago area. Gets 3 a month and has gotten 3 a month for 10 months now. My man must be playing some heavy indoor golf at the moment.
that's
And we've been in contact. Like, I'm going to go up to Chicago. I've got a couple other friends there, and we're going to meet up and play some golf. So it's not like he's getting gloves that he doesn't want. We've been, going back and forth by email. So he is grinding on his game, which is amazing that you need that many. But like you said, he's 3 a month. There are guys who are one every 2 months, one every 3 months. It just depends how much you play. I've got a great story from the other day. I was playing golf with a Carolina Hurricanes hockey player, and he had bought some gloves. It was a while back. It was probably 4 or 5 months ago.
okay.
And he's got the cape, and he's left-handed, so it's on his right hand, and it's all black in the on the palm and in the fingers. And I'm like, hey man, about time for a new glove. I know a guy who sells them. And he's like, no,
Subtle.
no. He goes, no, no, there's no hole in this. And I was like, Cal, a hole doesn't mean it's time for a new glove. It's when it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing, right? If you got that much, grip marks on your glove, it's probably time to change it. It's okay. You make a good penny. I think you'll be fine. And he's like, all right, fine. I'll order some. But no, it's just funny because there are many, many golfers who will wear that glove out as long as they can. And our message is, and it's, you don't have to buy our gloves. Go buy other gloves. That's cool. But you're buying a new glove because it's designed to do something. And there comes a time without a hole or a tear or anything where it's not doing what it's supposed to be designed to do. It's not performing. So there is that happy medium between, yeah, we'd love to sell you once a week, one glove a week. Absolutely. But if you play a lot of golf, you probably need one a month. If you're playing, 12 to 15 rounds a month, if you're lucky enough to get out that often, you're probably going to need a new glove once a month, or maybe a hair less frequency than that. But it's, our business is gloves, and they're supposed to perform a task. And when you're getting those, dark marks on a white glove, when, the leather isn't as tacky as it should be anymore. And so you should be kind of thinking like, hey, am I losing anything here? Does score matter? If it does, then maybe I should think about, maybe it's time for a fresh one.
Sure, and they stretch out. I think that's the biggest thing for me is that I don't. Everybody's different. We see, pictures of guys. Customers send us pictures. They've used the glove 30, 40 rounds, and the thing looks relatively new. You see some guys blow through them over 4 or 5 rounds. So your grip strength, if you've got dirty grips, and the conditions you play in. Obviously, you play a few rounds in the rain, and in different conditions, you can they can get beat up pretty quickly. But the point is, they don't last forever, and it's a matter of, and it's often um, not easy to tell when to turn a glove over. We've started to do a number of tee gifts at some different, you know, corporate golf events, and I can usually, you know, see them coming. I can see the glove they're wearing, and when they see they're going to get a new glove, people often like hide their hand, like like embarrassed of the glove that they're wearing, because they sort of know, like, it. When you ask the question, they're like, "Yeah, this glove is done," and but it's like, but they didn't decide that day. They even put it on the first tee. Usually, you get the round out and you put it back, and you forget about it, right, until you're on the first tee the next day. And with that subscription service, the glove comes in the mail. You pop it in your bag. It's there when you need it. It's a gentle reminder. And in some ways, it's a nice surprise, right? It's we don't, you don't get good things in the mail too often. It's nice. It's a little treat, but it is meant to sort of show up. You decide how often you need them, and and make those adjustments accordingly. I remember when Glenn pulled some data when we had, it was a really slow build. We went through the Kickstarter. The idea of the subscription was planted, and I had no idea how it would be received. The Kickstarter was, people bought a bunch of our gloves to kind of like try them out and test them out, and then a lot of that, those are our OGs, and they had gloves for days, and we didn't get them to them till the end of the year. They didn't really need the subscription service early on, so it took a while for us to start to see that part of the business take off, and still to this day, we have nearly 1,500 subscribers, and they represent like 10% of our customers. I mean, most people do buy gloves as they need them, and they decide what that looks like, and they don't want to be locked into anything, and more power to them. Those that are getting it, we're seeing that they're really getting familiar with Recharge, which is basically our subscription software, and it's really intuitive, it's super flexible. And we noticed that in the summer, most of our subscribers were getting a glove every month, and in some cases, multiple gloves a month, up to 5 gloves a month in some cases, and then they'll adjust, 4, 3, 2, 1, skip a couple months, pause, and make some adjustments. And when we pulled the same data in November, I think the average subscription was like a third were on monthly, a third were on every 2 months, and a third of our subscribers were on every 3 months. So I think, as you start to use the service, you start to figure out, when the gloves are piling up, you can sort of, hit the brakes when you need more, when you need to stock up for an upcoming trip, or if you're starting to play more, you can, make some adjustments. And we really created it to serve the customers and to try and solve that issue that most golfers recognize they should change their glove more often, but just find it difficult to do.
Yeah, and they have to find the happy medium, right? Like if you're getting a glove a month and you truly don't need it, it's so easy to change. Either you reach out to us or you, like you said, navigate the Recharge app within the system, and it's pretty intuitive, like you said. I think one of the things that we had to navigate early on was that negative perception of the subscription, and we had to just kind of gently explain to people, coax them into understanding, like, hey, you're not locked in. You are completely in control. Even if you subscribe by mistake the first time you buy, you can cancel it 20 seconds later and you've saved 10%. Like, that's, we do not hold, we don't want anyone getting a glove who doesn't want a glove, right? Like, that's the worst thing, is to have that negative perception of the company, like, oh, they're sending me something else. No, just like I said, reach out, or you can figure out the software on your own. But a lot of the time, I find people are just reaching out, like, "Hey, I didn't mean to subscribe." I'm like, "Yeah, hey, no problem. You save 10%. Good for you." Um, and then there's no more recurring orders going forward, and a ton of people come back a second and a third time, and sometimes they turn into subscribers because they can see that it's kind of a valuable tool. It's that gentle reminder that, yeah, I need a glove. I do. It's like Bob Weeks was talking about in one of our previous episodes. He's like, yeah, I did think it was a pretty good idea, because I can't tell you how many times I've been on the first tee. He's like, I really should go to the shop and get another glove. And so that was kind of the genesis of our subscription idea was, like you said, it's only 10% of our customer base, but it's a valuable 10%. And it's those who have decided, like, yeah, I don't want to have to do that once a month or once every 2 months, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, I've noticed lately that we're starting to see a bunch of subscribers that had like either paused the service. Now that was a new feature. So even like the software didn't, you either had to cancel or you had to, make adjustments. And now you can literally pause. And when you pause, you can decide how long you're pausing. You can literally say, I'm going to pause from November till April of
Yeah.
next year. And so you're starting to see some of these sort of like fall pauses that are being reactivated. Maybe that means they're playing some indoor golf. Maybe they're coming up with a trip and so on. But I think that's the other thing I've seen is a number of customers, they'll get multiple gloves, but they only, get the shipments at quarterly. So they might get 2 or 3 gloves at a time, but they're only getting them, you know, um, whenever they need them. So all that stuff is in there. It's all sort of available and flexible. Um, and we're also seeing a lot of, uh, anecdotally, a bit of that explosion of the indoor golf boom, right? Where these indoor ranges are really growing, and that means golf is becoming like a little less seasonal. Because oftentimes when we when we'll see this, and I'm going to just mention this guy Levi. He's been amazing, like one of our best customers from the get go, and he's often getting like 3 or 4 gloves. And I know he's in Southern Ontario, and I'm like, he's not playing golf right now. And you hate to see somebody get a pile of gloves that they don't need. And and he's always reassuring that, like, hey, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I need these and want these. So in some ways, I'm kind of jealous. He's obviously playing a lot of indoor golf and values the gloves. But that's a big part of it, is that we're seeing maybe in these pockets and parts of the country, especially Midwest, where we wouldn't expect to see subscriptions continuing through the off season. They're traveling, they're playing a lot of indoor golf, and they're finding the use for them kind of year round.
For sure. And there's a lot of, Northeast US, probably the Northwest US, I'd say east of Washington, because I think you can play a lot of golf in Washington year round. But, in the Montana, North Dakota, uh, Minnesota, Wisconsin, like those, I still ship people gloves every month. And so it has to be the indoor golf boom. It has to be indoor sims, whether at their own house or in these leagues that kind of form at these indoor places, which I know you've been to a couple in Ottawa lately, and you can really speak to how busy they are and how popular they're getting.
Yeah, I think you used to do a lot of, you'd maybe go to um, try to stay sharp, but now, I mean, with you can you can practice on an incredible range. You can really work on your game, the data, the metrics that you can track and really improve. And but it's also for club fitting, it must be invaluable. And so, yeah, just wide range. And what I'm seeing with a lot of the newer spaces is just they're a lot more like comfortable and inviting. They used to be, I think, pretty functional, and now they're becoming sort of these beautiful spaces that you don't mind spending like a little bit of extra time in. And then some interesting models. Or we've got a new partner, 24/7 golf, a really cool concept where you can come in at all hours of the day as a member and use these facilities, right? So you're really seeing some creative, flexible business models around the indoor golf, and certainly seeing them as valuing our service. But I think just kind of bringing things back to that subscription is one thing that we probably haven't done a good enough job on the website. We are working on a redesign, which we're pretty excited about. It's going to be a real refresh on the look and feel. But in part two, we need to dig in a little bit more and explain the subscription service a little bit better. You kind of see it at checkout, And some people opt into it for the savings, maybe not even knowing what they're getting into. Once you get a couple of gloves this way, you're never locked in, right? And if it's working for you, great. If it's that reminder that you need, then perfect. And if it's not, then you make some changes, make some pauses, make some adjustments, and 90% of our customers come and get gloves as needed, and that's perfect too. It's just meant to be like one more channel, one more way to try and make it easier.
Yeah, 100%. Like the message, again, we've said it about 5 times, like you're not locked in. You are completely in control. And if you don't know how to be in control, you just ask us. You reach out over our chat function on the website or at sales@redroostergolf.com. Someone gets back to you within about 20 minutes usually, and we figure it all out. It's not complicated. Sometimes there's been a customer here or there who's alarmed by getting the subscription emails after mistakenly subscribing. Look, we totally get it, and we can fix it right away. It's not a big deal, and you save 10% by mistakenly doing so. Like you said, it's our lowest price. Yeah, you know what? At the beginning, I wasn't reluctant, because I know as a former tour player how nice it was to slip on a fresh glove like once every 2 rounds, basically, because they were available. And we wanted to achieve that middle ground between, no one's going to slip on a fresh glove, just to play at their club once every 2 rounds. But you also want to avoid that situation where it's like you're playing with the glove that, like you said, they hide it or they got to run up to the shop. They can't find their size. So just that middle ground where we can solve a problem that some people have. Not everyone has the problem, but some do. And so you want to help people in solving that problem.
Yep, that's it. 100%. So I think that's the other thing that sometimes there's a bit of a misconception that like Red Rooster is a subscription golf glove service, and it's not, right? It is one of the ways that you can choose to get our gloves, but it's not the only way, and even if you do go that route, it is super flexible. So we want to take some time. I think the podcast has been a great medium for some of this long form content. Admittedly, we haven't done probably a good enough job of even explaining the service on the site on its own. That's coming. We're making that update. This was a great chance for us to kind of like address the sort of elephant in the room here, and kind of share, and then fortunately, like I do often say, like these are probably our happiest, most satisfied customers, because they've always got a fresh glove at their disposal, and that is always nice. They're Bob Weeks touched on this, but like there's no better feeling than the first time you throw on a fresh glove, right? And the more often you do that, that's just one of those great feelings in golf, is stepping to the first tee, sliding on that fresh glove. That first round in that fresh glove is usually the best round that it's going to deliver, and so the more often you do that, probably just the more enjoyment you're getting from the game, period.
Oh yeah, as a tour player, there was nothing better than slipping that glove on the first tee. And now that I own part of a glove company, I can still do that without the touring pro golf part. So yeah, completely flexible, optional. It's our best service, and the subscribers are our biggest advocates. That's kind of what we've learned throughout the first 2 years of Red Rooster. Thanks so much for joining us for this episode of the Red Rooster Golf Podcast. For my partner, Kerry Moher, I am Brad Fritsch. We'll see you again soon, whether you're a subscriber or a one-time customer. Until then, tee it high, let it fly, and cock-a-doodle-doo.